No sports topic is out of bounds. You found the MN Sports Blitz. Along with former Minnesota Vikings linebacker Chad Greenway, here's Joel Niemeyer.
And welcome back to another episode of the MN Scores Blitz. I'm Joel, and that is former Minnesota Vikings linebacker Chad Greenway. Good day to you, sir.
Good day. How's it going?
Doing very well, and Chad's appearance brought to you by the MN Scores app. And boy, for you guys at MN Scores, it's got to be a lot of fun. Championship time this week for section championship. State tournaments begin next week. Got to be a lot of fun for those high schoolers out there.
Yeah, it's the best time of year, as you know. I mean, you're following so many different sports with football, volleyball, and obviously on the app. Then obviously other fall sports as well. They're kicking into high gear here, finishing up their year. So it's a lot of fun. Leaves are changing. It's kind of getting that chill in the air. So it's a great time of year. Volleyball section finals coming up this week, and obviously football playoffs are rolling on. So we created a fun little tool in our app this last week for football playoffs to be able to follow the state playoffs and make it real easy to have all the scores on one location on one app. And I'm hoping people are liking it. And if you guys are out there looking for it, you can find our app in the App Store. So let's go grab it for free.
Well, and part of the fun, when you get to this week, like for example, for me on Friday night, I'll be in Hutchinson here to hear the Tigers. But you also, if Hutchinson's going to win, who are they going to play? And you go on the app and you try and find the scores, and it's really easy to figure out. Okay, here's what's going on in this game, that game, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it makes just that interaction and that be able to kind of see what's coming next and how other teams are doing. And I find myself searching the app a bunch of different ways, looking at different, from 9-man teams down all the way up to 6A and who's going to get that matchup. And it's fun to be able to have it all in one spot rather than have to toggle around. And I tend to think that people lose interest when they can't go find the information that they're looking for. So not everybody has, 45 minutes to look on a website to find, rankings or section standings, et cetera. So to have it all in one place, I think just brings that interest level just to another degree, which is what we're trying to do with this app. Obviously, it's a business, but most importantly, it's really a service to high school sports and parents and kids and trying to make their experience better.
Well, playoff races are heating up in high school. They're also heating up in college football. And I gotta ask you, what happened to your Hawkeyes? I thought, and I still kind of think they are the most talented team in the Big Ten West. But right now, it's the Gophers sitting on top.
Yeah, these last 2 weeks, it just seems like it's almost like an anomaly. They're not able to get any turnovers or any meaningful turnovers to turn them into points. And it seems like, offensively, they're not able to function in the same degree without getting those short fields. And, I think when you take a loss like we took to Purdue 2 weeks ago, and then you have the bye coming up, your only hope is, okay, we obviously have a very veteran coach. I love Kirk Ferentz and everything he stands for. But my hope was that we come back against a Wisconsin team where essentially now you have to win to keep your advantage. You would have thought he'd have came with either a different game plan or a different strategy or a different approach, or at least see some wrinkles. You're not going to, a guy that's been doing it for as long as Ferentz has, he's not going to bring in something, some wholesale change. But you would have loved to see a couple of wrinkles, a couple of things here or there. But we just didn't see that. And I think the reality is these are college kids. They're definitely not playing their best football right now. We know they put the work in. They're up to number 2 team in the country, and they've taken a couple hard licks. So all you can do is get back on the right path. That's your only option right now is to get back into your winning ways, try to get a win against Northwestern and get right, and then hopefully you can kind of get that confidence back and humming. So I think defensively it starts with our defensive line and starts up front. I think that's what you've seen with the Gophers and the success they've been having is they've been having success because they're really doing well up front. Offensive line is really good. Defensive line certainly is good too. So, I think when you control the line of scrimmage like that, you can really have a lot of success in the Big Ten.
You mentioned that advantage, and now that advantage kind of shifts over to the Gophers side, because if the Gophers control their own destiny, if they win the rest of their 4 games, they win the Big Ten West title. And I don't think a lot of people saw that coming after that loss to Bowling Green about a month or 2 ago.
Well, it just makes you think, like, man, if the Gophers don't trip up on Bowling Green, they're going to be in a top 10 ranked team all day long, and even with that loss to Ohio State. So, I think they have the right mix. They're physical. They have great line play. Their running game now is multifaceted because, obviously with Ibrahim gone, and they have a quarterback that's been there, done that. Now he has been asked to put up massive numbers. We know he's done that in the past, specifically 2 years ago. But I do think he's capable, right? And the RPO game they have going has been really good. So why not the Gophers, right? If it's not going to be my Hawkeyes, why not the Gophers? And it looks like it's the Gophers or the Badgers as of right now, unless something dramatically changes.
And the key players right now for the Gophers, true freshmen, Bucky Irving and Kai Thomas. You mentioned that running back depth being tested. They've had injuries or transfers out of the program, so now you got a couple freshmen. How tough is it to, 12 months ago, these kids are playing high school football, and now they're competing for a Big Ten West championship as starters?
Well, it's not even fair for me to answer that question. The game has changed so much since I came out of high school into college. These guys are so much more prepared than I was. So they look prepared, they look the part, and they're certainly playing well. So obviously they've made that transition, and that's just a credit to the coaching staff for getting them on the right page and kind of getting them on the same page. And again, it's once you get into a game, you get that experience. You're a football player now. You look at the Wisconsin running back. I don't know his name. I forget his name, but 17 years old, and it's an absolute specimen. So these kids are coming in now just different than they were 10, 15 years ago, and they're more prepared, more ready. I think that's just a credit to the high school coaches and also the weight programs that these high schools have now.
What are the keys down the stretch? If it's going to be the Gophers or the Badgers or Iowa, what's the key to winning the division?
Well, for Iowa, we got to turn people over. We definitely got to score more points than we're scoring. They scored 14 points the last 2 weeks, so that's going to be our biggest issue. With the Gophers, it's going to be doing the same. Control the clock, control with your running game, and don't become somebody you're not. Right? Win the game that way. Win simple. And limit your mistakes. And, that's the one thing is when you play that way, and really all three of these teams are kind of, you look at them, they're kind of little bit of an old school throwback. Minnesota's certainly got more wrinkles offensively than Iowa and Wisconsin, but a lot of them play real simple football. They keep it simple and not turn the ball over, and they play good defense. So as you see that, it's going to become, can you control the clock with your ground game? I think all three of them have shown that they can, but right now the Gophers, I would say, are the best position to do it.
Let's move over to the NFL quickly before we have to wrap things up here, as the Vikings coming off a real tough loss to the Cowboys. And, boy, that's just a team that I think I mentioned it just a few weeks ago. Something just – can't put my finger on it, but something feels off with this team this year.
Yeah, it seems like they just keep running into some hurdles, right? And I think you look at the Cowboys team, but that's a good football team all around. You find out they're more than just a quarterback. I think you see that. Because you obviously get the game plan, but then you see a quarterback that comes in and Cooper. I can't remember his name. Was it Cooper Rush?
Cooper Rush, yes.
Yeah, and Cooper Rush steps in and looks like an absolute NFL quarterback. I mean, he's running the full offense. He's making big time throws. He's making deep outs, deep ins, which is the hardest throws in the NFL to make. And you get a defense that is just tough. And I think offensively, what we did with the Vikings this past week was we just settled. We played not to lose. We played like a team that, okay, we think we're better than them because Dak's not playing. Let's not go take chances. Let's not throw the ball down the field. Let's play conservative. And I think it really came back to bite us by letting them stay in that football game. They're able to put one drive together with some help from others, and here you go. And you take the loss, and now with the momentum we were gaining, if you're sitting there 4-3, man, it's a big difference from a 3-4 football team. It's just a world of difference in that one win or loss.
I know the offense has been talked about in the media being a little inconsistent. I mean, on paper, you got elite players at a lot of different positions, but they're just not getting points. Is that on the players? Is it on the coaches? Is it on both?
Yeah, I think it's on both. I think right now you have to consider that you have to learn how to manage different things that are happening to you throughout a season. And right now, you're having to come in multiple ways, right? You have to come in fully prepared, think back to your fundamentals, keep the game simple, and go back out and get a victory. I think that's just the way you have to look at it, because the schedule does not get any easier. And as you move forward in the NFL, every week is a game you just got to deal with, and it's always kind of lives in its own world of how challenging it can be. And this week is no different with Baltimore. So you got to find a way, just fight through adversity, stick back to fundamentals, and come out and play your best football game.
You mentioned Baltimore. In 2 consecutive weeks, you got an East Coast game with Baltimore, followed by a West Coast game with the Chargers. How tough can that be? And then to go from East time zone back to Central time zone, over to West time zone, back to Central. And is that tough on players?
Well, it's certainly not like a baseball schedule or a hockey schedule where you're bouncing around so much. But the issue does become is how fast can your body heal, right? And now you're dealing with a lot of injuries. You're dealing with people that are playing through injuries and needing to get off an airplane and reduce swelling and get back into to game plan, and then you have to just deal with that travel, right? That lag time, that jet lag time. So it certainly is a factor. But again, these are things that professional athletes deal with. That's just an excuse. Is dressed up, and we have to figure out a way to win football games. I think this is a team, as you said earlier, it's like this is a team you just don't know to put your finger on what the issue really is, but we're just not able to play 4 quarters together, right? And I think you got to find a way to really put all 3 phases together and to work at the same time. You do that, this team's good enough to win a lot of football games and get themselves in the mix. But you can't say, hey, we're 3-5. We have to get it going now. We're 3-6. We got to start now. You got to get a big win right now, get back to 500 and get back in good graces.
Danielle Hunter out for the season. How big of a hit is that for the defense?
Oh, it's massive. I mean, the issue, with Patrick Peterson out in the back end right now, and he'll be back here in a few weeks. Then you have that issue up front. Is a lot of times you're going to rely on your front pass rush to be able to survive and hash out that passing game. And now you have 2 of the biggest pieces defensively out, one for the season and the other one for a good amount of time. So certainly not the place you want to be, especially coming off a tough loss, to lose, probably your best defensive player or one of them. Certainly a challenging time for Minnesota. But at the end of the day, every NFL team's dealing with that. It's about finding a solution.
Sounds good. Hey, thanks for coming on the program again, and we'll chat again in a couple weeks here. You
bet. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's an exciting time in high school sports, so go grab the app and follow along as closely as you can.
Sounds good. This has been the MN Scores Blitz.
The MN Sports Blitz has been produced by KDUZ, KARP, KGLB, and the Ingstad, Minnesota Radio Network. Complete episodes are available on our website and on YouTube.